Hello my friends and welcome back. I am back. I'm back from Ukraine and back from my honeymoon. Ever since my wedding on June 22nd, I haven't made a single video. This is the longest break I've ever took in my entire life of my work. But now I'm back, as promised, 1st of August. I'll talk about my honeymoon at the end of the video, but we begin today with news from Ukraine, and it's pretty fantastic because the F-16s are finally in Ukraine. They're present on the Ukrainian soil, or you could say in the Ukrainian sky. When I left to Ukraine, it was still in the near future. Everybody was talking about the near future. Well, now I come back and this is fantastic. They're finally there. Why is it so important? Every next month, Russian glide bomb usage has increased over the previous month. Although most Russian weapon systems have miserably failed in Ukraine, then glide bombs have been an outstanding success of the Russian armed forces. Unfortunately, they are easy to produce, they're very mass producible, Russia has abundance of explosives to put in them, and they're going bigger and bigger. Now they're actively using Fab 3000s, which are a 3-ton glide bomb. Like, it's massive. It doesn't have to be precise. The explosion is so big. Now the only way to fight against these glide bombs are the F-16s, because they are able to push Russian bombers and fighters both, aerial assets, further away from the front line, because otherwise Russian Air Force would risk their planes being shot down by the F-16s. So these planes really do change the battlefield. Why Russians have been able to advance in some frontal areas is because they have bombarded the area with glide bombs months before, and then the ground armies advance. Well, now this bombardment can be stopped. This is why the F-16s will save Ukrainian soldiers' lives. It is not yet precisely known what armament they carry, the F-16s. According to media reports, they currently only have the capability to conduct air defense operations, presumably a restriction imposed by the United States of America. So air defense meaning, shooting down Russian bombers, but they cannot fly into Russian airspace and they cannot attack targets on Russian soil. This is all United States restrictions on the weapon system. Ukraine has not yet officially confirmed the receipt of the fighters and seems to prefer to officially announce it once the fighters have completed some combat missions. In the coming weeks, we will see how these first combat missions of the fighters turn out. Ukraine is famous for delaying the official announcements of arrival of some Western weapon systems. They want the first beautiful kaboom or explosion or shooting Russian planes out of the sky to happen, and usually after that they announce it. That's their pattern. By the end of the year, it is expected that 20 F-16s will have been delivered to Ukraine. But even this number will not completely change the situation on the battlefield. Russia's military planning over the last year shows that Russia can no longer tolerate losses of combat aircraft and tries to avoid them. If Ukraine uses the F-16 fighters skillfully, they can stop the Russian army's advance in some directions. Currently, the most important thing is that the Russian military command could not prevent the transfer of the fighters to Ukraine, and they must now reckon with increasing losses of their more expensive equipment. Russia was trying to stop or delay the arrival of the F-16 by information attacks on the Western powers, by attacking Ukrainian airfields directly, just bombarding them with drones and missiles. But this was not enough. It finally happened. I remember when HIMARS arrived, then when the Western tanks arrived, and now the F-16s. These are three main big Western weapon systems that have changed the outcome of the battles more or less. Tanks a lot less, but HIMARS and the F-16s will have a much bigger impact. Yesterday, my friends, unfortunately, there was the biggest attack against Kyiv in 2024. The Ukrainian Air Force reported that the Russian army used 89 Iranian drones and one guided X-59 missile in attacks against various regions of Ukraine. Ukrainian air defense managed to destroy all the targets. The main target, as mentioned, was the capital, Kyiv, where about half of the drones flew, so about 40 of them. Of the drones involved in the attack, 5 entered Belarusian airspace and Belarus sent 1 fighter to monitor them. Why I'm talking about this is because, you know, my honeymoon was in Ukraine and I spent 2 weeks in Ukraine with my newly wedded wife, half of it in Kyiv, another half all across the country, middle and western Ukraine and in the Carpathian Mountains. But we were in Kyiv at the time when the Ahmadi Children's Hospital was attacked. You remember at the beginning of July, the big attack against Kyiv, when the Children's Hospital, there was many videos about it. My friends and a good friend and co-driver Jasper, who was with me, was actually on the site lifting rocks off the bodies of the children. So that really scared my wife. And she was there. I mean, she had never been to Ukraine. And then suddenly she is there, and at the same city, a children's hospital is blown to bits. And there was 2 attacks, the first one and then the second one to the same location. So now I'm back and I see this attack against Kyiv, biggest one in 2024, only yesterday. It's hard to describe what it makes me feel, but it's not good. Fortunately, this time all of the drones were destroyed. But now, my friends, I went to Ukraine, yes, for the honeymoon, but also because I had to deliver the car that you bought. Yes, it was quite a long time ago, but the last fundraiser was done with Brandon Mitchell, Pekka Kaljoniemi, Jaanus from Estonia, Regina from Estonia. There was many people. Frank Wilde, 5 military bloggers joined together for this fundraiser, and I delivered the car, and I just want to share this 1 minute with you. My friends, I'm standing here with a soldier from the 37th Marine Brigade. This is NAFO truck 2.0, of course. Ragnar is from IT, he's always innovating. I remember it was 1 jammer, then it was 2, now it's 3 jammers to maximize the frequencies. 3 jammers on this car, 3 jammers to maximize the frequencies being jammed, because it's quite hard. I mean, you can build it, but it's quite hard to keep running a single jammer that jams a wide variety of frequencies. It takes a hell amount of electricity and it overheats. You need 3 small jammers or 4 or 5, meaning you need many small jammers, not one big one, because it will be very big, it requires a lot of power and will overheat. So I just want to read out the names, because this truck is fundraised by 5 people, actually 2 of them from Estonia. Frank Wilde from Germany, Brandon Mitchell, of course, Pekka Kaljoniemi from Finland, Vatnik Soup, everybody knows. Pekka Kaljoniemi is the author of the Vatnik Soup you have seen on X, I'm sure. Perfect analysis of pro-Russian people in the world. Regina from Estonia and Jaanus also from Estonia. They're responsible for fundraising for this truck. And Brandon Mitchell also is connected to Quartermaster, who is a big company, and they decided to support your battalion with medical packs. Medical packs. So I hope this truck will be responsible for eliminating a lot of Vikings. So this soldier is a commander of the Marine Brigade. We gave the truck to the Marines because Brandon Mitchell really wanted to help the Marines. And he is a volunteer, of course, not Ukrainian by birth, but he's from a certain African country. I'm not going to say which one for the security reasons, but he thinks Ukraine is his home. He thinks himself as a Ukrainian. That was quite beautiful to hear, actually. He doesn't want to go back. He's fighting for Ukraine and he wants to stay. He likes it so much. And he was really thankful for you guys for giving them the truck. In this video, my friends, we'll fly all across the world. We are in Ukraine, of course, then a little bit in Russia. We'll go to Venezuela, but right now we're going to Syria, because this war is not only happening on Ukrainian soil or on Russian soil. This war is now global. Venezuela is right now going through a revolution, because we'll go into it later. In Syria, there is a Russian puppet leading the country, a dictator Assad, and Russian war against Ukraine means that Ukraine is now fighting Russia all across the world because they have the capability to do so. Ukrainian military intelligence sources report that they recently managed to carry out an attack on a Russian Air Force base in Syria. It was a special forces drone attack targeting the Kuwaites military base near the city of Aleppo, damaging some of the military equipment on the base's territory. Although it is more of a symbolic attack, it is very unpleasant for the Russian military command and political leadership. in terms of communication, it seems as if the Russian army is under pressure from Ukraine worldwide. And it is true, these attacks, of course, they didn't destroy anything big, a few trucks, but it shows that Ukrainian special forces have a worldwide capability, and the Russians cannot breathe freely anymore in Africa or in Syria. They have to put more resources into defending their bases in those areas. The local dictators, they have to send more forces to help them, because Ukrainian special forces can do these focused missions to destroy whatever they want to destroy. This is very bad news for Russia, because expanding the defense far away from your homeland, if you're not United States of America, the king of logistics, for Russia it's a very difficult task requiring an insane amount of resources. So this one attack might force Russia to spend an insane amount of resources to defend all their other bases if they don't want this attack to happen there. So it's a perfect strategy, because it requires very little amount of resources from Ukraine and very big amount of resources from Russia. Now, my friends, we go to occupied Ukraine, Donetsk, and there something funny or embarrassing, which way you want to take it, happened. Russian military sources report that an Mi-8 transport helicopter was shot down over Donetsk. Initially, there was information that the helicopter was fired upon by Russian air defense itself, so a friendly fire incident, and a huge amount of these have been happening. For some reason, Russian Air Force is unable to coordinate their air assets flying paths to the ground crews, and they keep shooting them down. Their blue on blue, or in Russian case, the red on red incidents happen quite a lot. 1 per month we have seen it happening. Yes, that's the official statistic. This war has been going on close to 3 years. Russia has shot down nearly 30 of their choppers and planes by their own air defense crews, which is almost 1 per month across the duration of the full-scale invasion. This is insanely high ratio for any army in the world. Later, a new report began to circulate that the helicopter was hit by a drone. For the Russian General Staff, the news of a drone attacking might be less embarrassing than explaining an incident of friendly fire. If the drone attack is confirmed as successful, it opens a new chapter in the future warfare, because we have not seen a drone taking down a helicopter yet. I mean, it's bound to happen, we just haven't seen it yet. Earlier video clips on the internet show Ukrainian drones trying to hit a helicopter, but successful attacks had not been previously known. Both versions are horrible for the Russian Air Force, but they choose the one that saves their face a bit more, because friendly fire is just embarrassing. Now, my friends, we'll go to Venezuela, yes, South America, because there it's a socialist government, socialist regime led by Maduro. Maduro is, let's say it, the dictator of Venezuela, and on Monday it was another election day in Venezuela. Outrage over the contested election began in the early hours of Monday, when Venezuela's National Electoral Council, an institution controlled by the government loyalists, announced that Maduro had won the election. It awarded 51% of the vote to Maduro versus only 44% to González, his main rival. The thing is, before Maduro, Venezuela was, you could almost say, a thriving nation or a growing nation. But Maduro's Socialist Party, when they took power, I mean, if you know anything about socialism, every time it has been the main leading direction of a country over a decade, it's just going downhill. The stores will be empty, there is deficit of almost everything, and this is the case in Venezuela also. No food, no produce, no money, no resources, nothing. Socialism equals poverty. Communism equals poverty. This is, according to my understanding and according to history, what we see in every country where it has been. People have had enough. Ever since Monday, people took to the streets by thousands, tens of thousands, and then hundreds of thousands. You could now say that there is a revolution going on in Venezuela. We don't know which side will prevail. It's not clear. But some of the police forces all across the country, some of them have gone over to the people's side. Some army units have gone over to the people's side. People want Maduro gone, and they want a change in the country's direction of moving. They want to go to more liberal system and to more capitalist system. In the days after the vote, Gonzalez, so the main rival of Maduro, and Machado also announced they had access to more than 80% of the tally sheets from the nearly 30,000 voting machines used in the elections. And get this, those results, they said, proved Gonzalez was the winner with 67% of the vote compared to Maduro's 30%. So it was a rigged election by the dictator Maduro, and people don't like it. They took to the street, and it is yet to see if this is another 2014 like it was in Ukraine, if now it's 2024 Venezuela, if this will be the starting of a new democracy in South America or not. Russia is very much connected. If you watch this video thinking that, oh, you were only supposed to talk about the Ukrainian war, if I want to hear news about South America, I'll go to somewhere else. Well, my friends, Wagner forces are in Venezuela on Maduro's side. Of course they are, because Maduro is Putin's friends. The dictators have dictator friends. They are very good friends. They are similar systems of oppression. Well, Wagner forces, who are funded by Russian government, are in Venezuela training the government forces. You can see it in this video. There are many videos circling of the revolution going on in Venezuela, of people fighting the riot police, fighting the army. There is shooting on the streets and there are casualties. Right now, there is no telling on which side the victory goes to. But I want to share some shenanigans with you. I have to, it's perfect. It's the candy of today's video. So in this video, you will see Maduro himself. This is Maduro. And Elon Musk said some negative things about him, you know, him being a dictator and people rising up against him. And this is how Maduro, the Venezuelan dictator, answered to Elon Musk. Elon Musk, whoever messes with me, dries up. Whoever messes with Venezuela, dries up. Elon Musk, you want to fight? You want to fight? Let's have it, Elon Musk. I'm ready. I'm a son of Bolivar and Chavez. I'm not afraid of you. Let's go at it. Whenever you want. As we say in Caracas, in the neighborhoods. If you want it, I want it. Elon Musk, just say where. My friends, in this next video, a member of the Russian State Duma announces that there will be a ban of Russian soldiers using civilian gadgets and electronic devices on the front. Why is that? Well, first of all, we're going to watch the video, 1 minute, what they do with this new law, and then we're going to watch Russian soldiers' reaction to it and discuss why even ban civilian gadgets on the front. This draft law regulates the procedure of application. It concerns electronic devices used by military personnel for personal purposes and disclosing information containing state secrets. So they cloak this new law like it is a defense against sharing state secrets, Russian secrets. This is why they ban, let's say, cell phones on the front. Is this the real reason? Well, of course not. This provision is not new. It is a provision of the law on the status of military personnel, which was introduced here as a correlative provision. All devices, be it smartphones or tablets, which are used in the interest of combat missions and ensure combat operations, have been working and will continue to work. So now they claim that this will not affect combat operations. Well, I think it will. And also, the reason why they do it is quite plain for us in the West. Because their use is determined by the procedure established by the commander and nothing more. And everyone should know and understand this. It is all very dry, it is boring. Unfortunately, many of yesterday's and today's commentators do not want to delve into the essence of the law and do not want to understand what it says. Well, my friends, I also don't want to understand it the Russian way, because we now have a video of a Russian soldier reacting to this law, and here is the truth. A Russian soldier in Russia reacting to an advertisement when Russian army is promising to pay 210,000 rubles a month for every soldier who joins the army, who signs the contract. And now let's see if it's true, because that's a lot of money. The real deal, prestigious job from 210,000 rubles. From, not up to, but from, and monthly. Very big promises, you know. So why is that people who have signed the contract have a document that they are members of the SMO, Special Military Operation, who have combat experience when transferred here to Belgorod region from February to March, they get, or we get, 40,000 rubles, which is what, 5 times less than promised? And some of us get 15,000 rubles, 15, which is almost 10 times less as promised, almost. Imagine you go to a new job in USA, in Europe, and you're promised a wage of 5,000 USD or 5,000 euros per month. You do the first month, you do the second month, and they pay you 1,000. And they're just like, what are you going to do? You know, we promised 5, we're going to pay you 1, what are you going to do? And you cannot go because the contract says legally that you cannot leave. You have to be there at least half a year. And they just pay you 5 times less. And you might die. It's very hard to imagine a job like that in Europe, but that's the life of the Russian soldier. Most people can't afford to provide for themselves. Going on a combat mission, they cannot buy the things they need. Why such an inhuman attitude towards the soldiers of the Russian army? You know, this soldier is part of the Russian army, and he's just wondering why is the Russian Federation leadership so inhuman about the Russian soldiers. This is already discrediting the army, which Putin pretty much uses to jail anybody who talks about anything that Putin doesn't want people to talk about. Where we are forced not to send money to our relatives and close ones, but on the contrary, to take it from them. Yes, because soldiers on the front survive because their mothers, fathers and grandmothers send money from the Russian cities to the fronts. It's vice versa. I went to Belgorod today and spent 51,000 rubles. So he said he was promised 210,000. He's only getting 40,000 a month. And he spent 51,000 with 1 day. This shows you how many days it takes to spend 1 month of soldiers' pay. 1 day in Belgorod will spend 1 month of soldiers' pay in Russia. On a taxi and a hearing aid to hear the birds better, you know, the drones. Yes, those birds, FPVs, Mavics, Baba Yaga, Valkyrie. It's a matter of survival. And Akhmat battalion soldiers, wherever they are, get a lot more. We know why that is. I mean, 2 Chechen wars, and Putin was part of the second one. Of course, they won the second one, the Russians, but it was a very painful experience. Both of these wars for Russians were very painful. Kadyrov is a puppet, but Putin knows what will happen if he stops the money. A lot of money, a lot of Russian money flows to Chechnya. A lot of it to appease Kadyrov, to appease the puppet, to keep his dogs at bay. His dogs are right now in Ukraine and they're getting paid quite well. Because if they won't, Putin has another issue in his hands, which is Chechnya. Mark my words, the dissolution of the Russian Federation will start from Chechnya and Dagestan. This is where it starts. This is the most turbulent region in the Russian Federation. As soon as the money stops flowing, and it will, because the sanctions will hurt in a 10-year period, the money will stop flowing, and Chechnya and Dagestan will show their teeth again. So why did the Russian Federation now accept the law to ban the usage of smartphones on the front? Well, because information such as this, that soldiers are simply not getting paid what they're promised in the cities, will get online because they just upload it to YouTube or Twitter or whatever they want to with their smartphones. That's why the army just blatantly bans all civilian devices and cloaks it as we need to protect the government secrets. But actually they just don't want information to be leaked out of how poorly the soldiers are living on the front. Now, my friends, For the first time in a month, I'll be butchering some Buy Me a Coffee names, and we don't have that many new monthly members because I was on the honeymoon, I didn't make any videos, but we have some, and we have enough for one butchering. I'll read it, and after that we're gonna watch some of my honeymoon photos. George A. Clarke, Jackson Legge, Giku, Tom Ruskton, K. Butterstops, Kari Hartman, and Kevin Velsk. Thank you for becoming monthly members. If you like my channel, if you want to welcome me back, Buy Me a Coffee monthly members, link is in the description below. I'll be butchering your name. Now, my friends, I want to show you some photos. Of course, at the end of every video, I'll be talking a little bit about the honeymoon because it was the honeymoon. I mean, it was Ukraine. But today I will share you the handover and, well, my new wife. Here you can see her shooting at the shooting range of the Alpha Group, one of the best special forces in Ukraine, SBU Alpha. Now, they allowed me to say their name. That was already half a year ago, so this is no OPSEC here. She is shooting at the instructions of the Alpha Group fighters, and I'm not going to show you any fighters, don't worry about it. But she's quite good with the weapons, as you can see. Not a problem at all for her. She enjoyed shooting very much. Here you can see her with the machine gun PKM. It's a heavy beast. I really like that one, but it's impossible to shoot while you're standing, so we all had to lay down and shoot. And she also. And here I'm showing her the drones, the killer drones, FPVs that we're delivering. She has not seen anything like it. She has never been to Ukraine. So for her, it was all a first. The cars were the first. The drones were the first. The machine guns with Alpha Group was the first time. It was the experience. And boom, we gave the cars over next to the Ukrainian Motherland Monument, which you can see right here. All of the cars you can see right here. There were still quite a lot of Jake Bro vehicles because the dude is legendary. He fundraised over $1 million. This amount will last quite a long time for the 69th Sniper Brigade to deliver cars. I think we'll see Jake Bro's cars in like 6 months. They still keep coming. Way to go, Jake. Really respect what you're doing. These are the cars. There were drones over here, and one by one we went through the forces. Ukrainian unit commanders, and we gave the cars. I also climbed at the top of the Motherland Monument, but that's the story for another video. My friends, thank you for watching. Thank you for coming back. As I said, 1st of August, here I am. I will make a video for you tomorrow also, so be back again tomorrow. Until my next video, Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye.